DirtTrax is sponsored by CanAm, the ride says it all. Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Hatfield McCoy Trails, where hundreds of miles of off-road adventure await you today. And by Yamaha, conquer outdoors.
It wouldn't take a typical ATV nut like you or me more than a few seconds to pick the industry's top 2 most exciting ATVs currently available on the showroom floor. Powerful, adjustable, agile, and cool are all accurate descriptions, but are also the very traits that make them stand out among their peers. When Polaris first let the news slip to the media last season about their all-new Scrambler 850, it was all we here at DirtTrax TV could do to contain ourselves. Our immediate reaction was, of course, how is this impressively spec'd ATV going to stack up against its only competition, CanAm's Renegade? And it didn't take long for you to let us know just how interested you were in this comparison as well. So, because we always aim to please our viewers, we're finally going to answer the question, just how do the Scrambler 850 and Renegade 1000 compare, and which one would we choose if we could only choose one? As the class senior, CanAm has had a few years to refine and fine-tune the ultra-potent Renegade 1000. At first glance, this would appear to be an advantage, which is debatable. What's not debatable is the fact that the 2013 Renegade 1000 XXC in CanAm's excellent G2 chassis is the best Renegade ever. For starters, it's the most powerful ATV ever made. The 1000R power plant that was originally designed for use in the Commander side-by-side literally oozes ridiculous amounts of torque that never seems to end. And 82 horsepower seems to taunt the driver to find out just how fast it can go. The most impressive aspect of the Renegade's 1000R mill, though, is not its horsepower, torque, or top speed. While those things are impressive, they can also often become stumbling blocks if they're not refined or controllable. But refinement and control are two things the 1000R has in spades. Clutch engagement is smooth and even, the power band is ultra mellow and forgiving, and the throttle response is perfectly even. All this adds up to an 80 horsepower missile that's equally as composed at 10 miles per hour as it is aggressive at 70. We've come to absolutely love CanAm's G2 chassis in all of its forms. From the stretched out Max to the stripped down Renegade, it simply just works, which is good, because the Renegade 1000 is capable of getting you into situations a poor handling ATV could make a lot worse. The G2's fully redesigned TTI2 trailing arms out back allow the suspension to squat big time on acceleration, but its double A arms up front are designed to resist dive under hard braking. The result of this package is an ATV that feels firmly planted, yet light to steer, quick in the corners, yet predictable under hard braking, and well balanced in all situations. From an ergonomic standpoint, the Renegade hits big marks in all the right places. You feel very much in control of this ATV, perched in a very aggressive stance, yet tucked in safely behind the bars. The spacing of the floorboards is a little wider than we would like, but ultra-aggressive raised foot pegs lock your feet firmly in place. CanAm's class-exclusive Tri-Mode DPS does a stellar job of easing steering effort and, most importantly, lessening any negative feedback you'd typically feel from the wheels through the handlebars. This gives an additional boost in confidence when you're really pushing the Renegade hard through tight or excessively rough trails. You have to love CanAm's almost automotive level of attention to detail in build quality and finish. It only takes a quick glance to see how the little details in plastic fitment, weld quality, and overall surface finishes add up to an ATV you're proud to own and show off. The XXC package is essentially CanAm's out-of-the-box GNCC race-ready package. It includes a set of fully adjustable Fox Podium X piggyback shocks, a set of 12-inch aluminum beadlock wheels wrapped in ITP whole-shot ATR tires, full aluminum skid plating, pro taper bars, and raised, serrated, and extra-wide foot pegs. All of this comes pre-installed from the factory. The Renegade XXC 1000R is a full-gem, maxed-out, top-of-the-line sport 4x4 ATV that truly reinvented this segment. It sets a new benchmark for what a sport 4x4 ATV could and should be, and it went almost entirely unrivaled until now. Let's get one thing perfectly clear right up front. Polaris did invent the sport 4x4 class back in the 90s with the original Scrambler 400 4x4. When it was first released, it was an overwhelming success and sold in impressive numbers for more than 15 years. But during the past decade, the industry has seen huge technological advances, specifically in the areas of suspension and handling, that simply made the Scrambler of yore feel outdated and unimpressive. And let's be honest, Polaris hasn't sat still for a nanosecond in this industry. They have either been on top or poised to soon overtake every category they play in, which is why it seems strange they would wait so long to give the good old Scrambler the overhaul it both needed and deserved. What made this lack of action even more confusing was the fact that A, the competition was simply using a stripped down but upgraded version of a 4x4 sport ute for their own sport 4x4, and B, Polaris' Sportsman 850 is an extremely potent and sporty vehicle in itself and would therefore make an easy base for a new Scrambler. I'm not saying we saw the future. We weren't the only ones with this on our minds. We received piles of messages from our viewers regarding this very same scenario. The truth is, when the Scrambler 850 was first released, it was much of a surprise to us as it was to you. Polaris' 850 parallel twin-cylinder motor produces an impressive 77 horsepower. The power band and clutch engagement have been specifically tuned for a more aggressive, sporty feel, and, in our opinion, the result of this tuning is an engine and clutch package that make you feel like you're sitting on way more horsepower than you actually are. The exhaust was rethought from the header all the way back to the muffler for improved flow and optimized back pressure. The exhaust note was also tuned to be more aggressive. The mission was definitely accomplished. If we were forced to ride just one ATV platform for the rest of our lives, it would absolutely be Polaris' XP chassis. Polaris got this one as right as anybody ever has, and we absolutely love it. There, was that honest enough for you? And in Scrambler trim, this chassis is even better. Its double ARMs up front and out back are damped by a set of fully adjustable Fox Podium piggyback shocks and are designed to increase squat on acceleration and limit dive on braking. If I had to describe the ride of the Scrambler in a single word, it would be fluffy. I know, that's a weird word, but it actually fits. The Scrambler simply floats over the roughest terrain and sometimes makes you think you're riding a marshmallow, but not in a bad way. It's ultra plush, but not at all squishy. I attribute this ultimate combination of ride quality and light, precise steering largely to the impeccably tuned sway bar. It allows the suspension to be soft enough to ride amazing without allowing for excessive body roll in the corners. If there's one thing that stands out in my mind about all Polaris XP chassis, it's definitely the ultra narrow spacing of the seat and the midsection between the floorboards. By turning the twin-cylinder mill sideways and moving the clutches behind and under the seat, there is substantially less stuff between your legs. The ergonomic perfection of this layout can't be adequately described. It must be felt to be understood. In addition to the narrow foot placement, the Scrambler also gets big kudos for its rider positioning, which is fairly upright and allows for the easiest transitioning between sitting and standing of any 4x4 ATV I've ever ridden. Even though the Scrambler would handle very well and steer very light without power steering, Polaris' single-mode speed-sensitive system is included, and it's the best single-mode system we think anybody's ever made. It provides the perfect level of assist at lower speeds and turns the assist down in just the right ratio as the speeds increase. Perhaps the most obvious area of difference between the Scrambler and the Renegade in 2013 is in the features category. CanAm sends their Renegade fully stocked with trick stuff, while Polaris has taken a more do-it-yourself approach. The Scrambler is offered in two versions, base and LE. The LE we have here includes power steering, sweet 14-inch aluminum wheels wrapped in 489-2 tires, handguards, a tiny rear rack, and a nice-looking LE graphics scheme. The Scrambler is everything we knew it could be. A superb riding and handling sport 4x4 with loads of buttery smooth power and the industry's best ergonomics. But the question still remains, how do these two high-end vehicles compare to each other? The bottom line is this, they're both awesome. The 1000R is obviously more powerful than the Scrambler 850. Even if you opt for the 800 version of the Renegade, it's still more powerful. The XXC model also includes all the bolt-on goodies you're going to want if you're a truly aggressive rider. The Scrambler has the smoothest ride and the best overall ergonomics. The CanAm has slightly nicer fit and finish, but the Polaris handles just a tiny bit better. If you awarded points to each category, they would literally tie when all was added up. So I sat down with the hardest, most aggressive rider I know and somebody who has extensive experience with both of these vehicles, my wonderful brother AJ. We had a long chat about both of them, and the conclusion we came to was this. AJ prefers the Renegade for his more all-out riding style. It has the features and traits he's looking for and prefers. I prefer the more aggressively plush feel of the Scrambler for comfortable all-day yet aggressive riding. One really isn't better than the other. They are just different.
I'm no stranger to pure sport ATVs. I've ridden east to west, the best tracks and trails this continent has to offer. And today, I'm doing it again. Today it's all about the ride. The dust on the goggles, the smell of paint burning off a brand new pipe, and fresh rubber being torn from a new set of tires. Today it's all about the 2014 YFZ.
I've got a factory fresh, glistening clean, I mean brand new 2014 Yamaha FZ450R. It's serial number 2. Yeah, number 2. And today, I plan on taking it right past break-in and seeing what all the hype is about. Yamaha has never sat still in the pure sport ATV division. The engineers are always on the gas, always innovating, and always sending the competition back to the drawing board, scratching their heads and wondering how Yamaha pulls out every stop and jams so much new tech in every ride. Right out of the gate, let's forget about what's old and focus on what's new. In particular, the motor department, where power and potential have both gone way up. As if the 449cc 4-stroke needed more juice, Yamaha went out and increased the compression ratio and put the old ECU to rest, opting for totally new engine settings and a brand spanking new ECU to optimize mid-range performance and increase overall power. Add to this a new throttle body and muffler shape to take advantage of the best throttle response possible, and you've got a podium rig right off the showroom floor. The word soft would never describe a previous YFZ's power. They've always packed a punch, but the 2014s, well, this is a whole new fight. Low-end torque is immense, mid-range is strong and pulls like a stubborn mule, while the top end, yeah, let's just say you're gonna run at a track before you run at a motor. Helping to put the power to the ground is a new ANS or assist and slipper clutch that significantly reduces the effort required to engage the clutch. Now let me explain what that means for you, the rider. In a long moto, both the throttle and clutch play a big part in arm pump and rider fatigue. So reducing the effort required to actuate both of these inputs is important. The new assist and slipper clutch reduces the input required, and when linked with the EFI's light-feeling throttle spring, mean you'll ride stronger, longer. The secondary benefit of the ANS clutch is the reduction in engine braking. meaning when you let off the throttle or downshift hard, the rear tires are less likely to lock, keeping you in control. Speaking of endurance, the suspension on the new YFZ is not only redesigned, it's completely different, featuring 3 totally new shock absorbers that are willing to soak up anything you throw at them. The front shocks deliver 9.8 inches of plush travel with a new longer shock design. Thanks to the gold-colored Kashima coating on the shocks, they're smoother with less friction. The coating also helps to reduce fading and minimizes metal shavings typically found inside shock bodies that can clog valves and reduce overall shock performance. While the rear end may not have a Kashima coated damper, it does have a totally new shock that's producing 11 inches of rear wheel travel. With threaded preload adjustment, high and low speed compression, and also rebound adjustability, I felt the rear end to be the most compliant of any pure sport I've ever ridden. Tuning any of the 3 fully adjustable shocks is easy to do and produces huge results. Whether your track is smooth and flat, or rutted out with big gnarly air, a few clicks and a turn of the preload, and you'll be ready to not only run with the best, but podium your YFZ straight out of the box. This is without a doubt the best suspension package I've ever seen on a stock pure sport ATV. And as if that wasn't enough, the list of features goes on to help you become a better rider with a vehicle right off the showroom floor. Yamaha truly is giving you the best bang for your pure sport bucks. While the players in the pure sport game might be fewer, the king of the castle isn't letting off the gas. The 450R is the pinnacle of pure sport, leaving no stone unturned, no jump unhit, and both stamina and confidence at record levels. Yamaha's not looking for test pilots, they're looking for rock stars. So if podiums, posters, and kissing babies is what you've got your sights set on, get down to your local Yamaha dealer and realize your full potential. The truth is, you get one choice when setting out to buy a pure sport ATV. Whether you're a track junkie or you like to compete, the question that begs an answer is why would you choose anything other than a 2014 YFZ 450? It represents the best technology, the best handling, and the best performance all thrown in the Vitamix and served fresh off your dealer's showroom floor. Ready to put you on the podium or throw down lap times that'll make your buddies wonder why they spent money on anything but a Yamaha. Welcome back to the Trail Tech Shop in part 2 of a 4-part series where we're taking you on a behind-the-scenes look at how an aftermarket exhaust is designed, fabricated, and tested. In an earlier episode, Luke walked you through a brief outline of our MBRP build. The folks at Martin Barkey Racing Products have opened the doors to their inner sanctum of performance and are giving us front row seats. In this episode, I'll be showing you precisely what steps are taken to benchmark our 2013 RZR XP 900 and figure out just what needs to be done to gain a performance advantage. While the stock setup does produce usable power, MBRP is all about getting more from an engine. They are the locksmiths of untapped horsepower, and the tools they use open doors that we never thought imaginable. Up first, the most obvious step is to see precisely what we're working with. So the techs at MBRP put the XP on their beautiful Dynamite inertia roll dynamometer to see what the stock exhaust is producing for horsepower. The process tells a lot about the engine's setup and gives a baseline to benchmark all other potential designs against. Once the stock exhaust is removed, it's not only weighed to see if there will be actual weight savings in the future, but it's also flow tested on a very specialized piece of equipment called a flow bench. Determining the back pressure or flow of the stock exhaust is key, as more flow typically means more power. The flow bench determines the back pressure by positively pressurizing the stock canister. The techs then use the information calculated by the flow bench as their minimum baseline and move forward with a focus of increasing flow and reducing back pressure. This is not your typical exhaust manufacturer. MBRP is focused on performance gains and therefore take a lot of time and effort to know exactly what they need to accomplish. Following the dyno and flow bench testing, it's time for what I consider to be the coolest part of the build process, the 3D optical scanning. With the stock exhaust mounted, a specialized handheld 3D scanner shoots a series of targeted lights at the chassis, bodywork, and components of the XP900 and automatically translates them into a 3D rendering of the vehicle, ready to be dragged into CAD and utilized for the design of the new exhaust, whether it be a full exhaust system or strictly just a silencer. Setting out to make a better looking exhaust is what this industry typically does. Setting out to make a better performing exhaust is what has made MBRP legendary. Stay tuned to a future episode where I'll take you behind the scenes yet again and show you the fabrication process of our brand new 2013 RZR XP 900 MBRP exhaust.
Dirt Trax Television has been sponsored by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. CanAm, the ride says it all. MBRP Performance Exhaust, making power with MBRP. And by Arctic Cat, share our passion.